Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Game Week 33 tier list video where we're going to whiz through all of the most popular transfers for Game Week 33 and rank them in a tier list. Guys, if you do enjoy this one, please do leave a like, do subscribe if you're new around here, but I say let's get cracking. Alright guys, so 5 categories as always, 30 most popular players at time of recording. So these are the most popular transfers in at time of recording. If there's any players that you feel are missing from this video, let me know in the comments and we will try and reply to some of those and kind of put them on this particular tier list. So let's start off with the 30th most popular transfer of the game week, working our way up to number 1. The 30th is actually Sanchez. So yeah, Sanchez, the goalkeeper, is back on the cards apparently, but I think he's going to go straight in the avoid category. I know he played last game week Game Week 31 for Brighton, but it does seem like it was due to a steel injury. And yes, Sanchez also started in the FA Cup, but he's been playing in the FA Cup. He's like kind of the FA Cup goalkeeper. So I do feel like that steel is probably going to come back into this Brighton team. I don't know for sure. I would just say that just avoid Brighton goalkeepers completely. If you don't already have a Brighton goalkeeper, I would just leave it, forget about it. It is too risky at this point. Next up, Gahi. I guess he is optional because he has some really good fixtures coming up, but I don't think this is a very exciting transfer, so I'm going to put him in optional. You could get the odd clean sheet. I think you probably will get the odd clean sheet, but at the same time, what's the best you can really hope for? I feel like we want some high octane, really powerful transfers, and Mark Gahi is just not that. Next up, Sam Johnston. I guess that will be a similar situation with him, but I do feel like he has a higher ceiling than Gahi because he is making a lot of saves. He's going to be picking up bonus points as well. We've seen recently him getting some really, really nice kind of FPL scores. Now, the one concern I do have about Johnston is that Guaita is now available. He is now fit. So does that mean that Guaita is going to come back in and rotate with Johnston? I don't know for sure because Johnston has done so well. So in many ways, maybe I need to drop down Johnston into avoid, because is it worth the risk at this stage of the season? There's so many different goalkeepers you can go for right now. Is it worth the risk? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. And I do think there's other goalkeepers I would much prefer to go for if I was forced to make a goalkeeper transfer right now. Another goalkeeper option. So many goalkeepers are popular this game week, guys. Nick Pope. I guess he is like kind of optional. Like I would consider going for him, I guess. I don't think it's an amazing pick by any stretch of the imagination, but if you really need a goalkeeper, you could go for him. He's a little expensive. He doesn't really make saves, but we do have a double game week coming up. But I guess it's only one double game week, so maybe he goes in avoid as well. I'm sorry, Pope. The goalkeeper gang is all in avoid so far. So we need to put a goalkeeper who is not in avoid, and that is going to be Iverson. So actually, I think Iverson, like, if you're just looking for a backup goalkeeper that is super cheap, Iverson is your man, like, for sure. Like, he's not an exciting transfer, but if you're on a wild card or something like that, or you desperately need to find a little bit of budget somewhere, and you need to downgrade maybe your bench goalkeeper to Iverson, I think that's absolutely fine. So I feel like he is going to be optional. He is going to work for certain people playing FPL, but not really. If I had one transfer to use this game week, and I had other issues to deal with, I probably wouldn't be bringing in Iverson, but hey, that's another conversation. Next up, Eze. I'm going to put him in optional. Again, I don't think he's very exciting because he doesn't have any double game weeks coming up, and I feel like, yes, he has had some really good form recently. He was a nice player to go for against Everton in the blank game week, but he's not really a player I would want to own long-term when there are so many good kind of midfield options right now. I feel like there's just so many good midfielders that maybe Eze, with no double game weeks, doesn't really have a place anywhere. So after that blank, I feel like it's time for him to go. Next up, Ben White. He's going to go in avoid. Arsenal have horrible fixtures coming up. Really, really bad. And Arsenal have been so bad defensively, so I just do not trust Ben White at all at the moment, unfortunately. I don't trust Arsenal's defence at all at the moment, and they're about to play Man City away. There's pretty much no worse time in the entire season to pick up an Arsenal defender. So all Arsenal defenders, for me personally, are just avoid. No double game weeks to come either. What is the point? What is the point in Arsenal defenders right now? Andreas, I'm going to put in optional. I think he's been doing really well recently. I'm kind of enjoying Andreas at the moment. He does have one double game week as well, which maybe puts him slightly above Eze, and he is super cheap as well. So if you're looking for that fifth midfielder that you can maybe bring in for the double game week 34, even though Fulham do have some pretty bad fixtures in game week 34, still, he's going to be an option for you at the very least. Next up, David De Gea. David De Gea, I think, is definitely someone to consider. He makes saves. Man United have been keeping clean sheets recently in the Premier League and kind of just domestically in general. So I feel like he is a fairly decent goalkeeper to go for. Do I put him in good transfer? I feel like I have to consider putting him in good transfer. Like, in terms of goalkeepers, of the goalkeepers listed so far, he would be my favourite. So, okay, I think we can put him in. I can't put him higher than optional. I'm going to put him in optional because I do feel like there are better options still, or maybe one better option that we will get to very shortly. Next up, Solanke. I feel like he is kind of optional. I don't know if I'd love to go for him at this point, to be fair. Like, you know, if you're going to go for forwards right now, is Solanke the answer? We would want Erling Haaland. Some people are still going to want to have Kane. We've got Tony. We've got Watkins. We've got Isak. We've got Diogo Jota coming out of the woodworks as well. Is there a place for Solanke, or have we missed the boat? I feel like maybe we just about missed the boat on Solanke. So I still think he is optional, but he's certainly not quite in that high tier forwards that I would want to bring in using my transfers right now. So I'm going to put him in there, unfortunately, for him. Martinelli, another player who I'm going to put in optional, which is kind of difficult because he has had some really, really good form recently. I've been enjoying Martinelli very much, but the bad fixtures are coming, and I feel like maybe if you were going to get Martinelli, you should have got him in the past, and I know a lot of people who do own Martinelli now are actually going to be looking to move him on very, very shortly, possibly even this game week. I know a lot of top FPL managers will actually be selling Martinelli, but that said, Martinelli has been in good form, and like I always say, a good forward in good form will perform against even the toughest of defences. Now, maybe Man City is going to be the exception to that rule, but you feel like if anyone's going to score against Man City, it's probably going to be Martinelli in this game. So I'll put him in optional, but not really somewhere I'd be looking to go personally, but I definitely recognise that he could get some okay points in upcoming game weeks for sure. Next up, Edison. I think he's a good transfer. I think he's the best goalkeeper to go for right now. In fact, I would arguably put him in great transfer. I'm going to put him in great transfer. There you go, guys. I think if you want to go for a Man City defender right now, they're all rotation risk other than Edison. Edison is, you know, just as likely to get attacking returns as Man City defenders, because Man City defenders just do not get attacking returns unless their name is Cancelo, and he's gone. So, yeah, pretty much it's Edison or bust for me. I feel like Edison is the guy to go for if you're looking to get take advantage of all of the fixtures, all of the potential clean sheets from Manchester City. I think he's a really good transfer, despite the fact it being a goalkeeper transfer. Next up, Fabian Schär. I think he's kind of optional, you know, a decent player, gets decent returns, decent kind of attacking returns always available. I think Newcastle are a fairly good defence. We've got an upcoming double game week, so that is something there. So Fabian Schär, I think he's pretty high ceiling, actually. I kind of like him. Tyrone Mings, I think we've missed the boat on Tyrone Mings personally. Not really a player I'd be looking to go for. After Fulham, the Aston Villa fixtures really do start to get a lot tougher. So they are going to be playing some of the best attacks in the league. And I just feel like, you know, if we're going, we're trying to think forward, we're trying to progress our team, look for the next best players, the next high-performing players, the next high-scoring players. I'm not sure Tyrone Mings quite fits that category if we look forward. And I definitely do prefer to look at fixtures when we're looking for defenders. And the fixtures are just not it for Mings, unfortunately. So I would be avoiding him straight up. Next up, Dalot. I think he's a fairly decent transfer. 4.7 million. It's a decent price for him. We're expecting him to play wing back. Certainly whilst Shaw is unavailable. Well, Shaw is... I say he's unavailable. He's only available to play at centre-back, so he's not really available to play at left-back. We're seeing Dalot play at left-back, but then when Shaw is back at left-back, Dalot probably goes into right-back. Wan-Bissaka drops out of the team, so we are going to see Dalot in the wing-back position, hopefully fairly consistently. There's a small rotation risk there, but I think he is a good price, and I feel like that Manchester United have enough players injured right now that Dalot is not too risky. I think he's okay for the time being. I would still put Luke Shaw slightly above him, though, so I do feel like, yeah, Luke Shaw, with his bonus points that he does get when playing centre-back at the moment, I think he's still a really, really good option. So Luke Shaw, definitely a good transfer to go for right now. Spurs next, so maybe it's not the absolute perfect time to buy a Manchester United defender, because I still feel like the likes of Harry Kane is always going to be threatening against Manchester United, but Spurs in general have just been so poor. So maybe Manchester United can keep a clean sheet against them. I definitely think that's on the cards, and moving forward, I would want at least a little bit of Manchester United defensive coverage, whether that's Shaw, Dalot or De Gea. I would want one of those kind of players. Next up, John Stones, and I think I'm going to put him in good transfer as well, but slightly below Luke Shaw, I guess. I just feel like I would still prefer Edison if I had to go for some kind of Man City defender, but if your goalkeeper slot is sorted, you don't want to make a goalkeeper transfer, you want to instead bring in a defender with Ake out, I feel like Stones is the kind of the next best Man City defender to go for, so we're going to put him in good transfer. I still think there is a place for him potentially in some of your guys' teams. Next up, Lewis Dunk, I'm going to put him in optional. The reason is because I want the best Brighton players for this final run-in when Brighton have so many double game weeks in the next, well, in 6 game weeks remaining, they have 3 double game weeks. 50% of their remaining game weeks are double game weeks. Now, what you do get from Lewis Dunk is the nailed-onness. Like, as a centre-back, you know, these players are typically more nailed on, will be playing every game in a difficult fixture schedule, but I would also have to say that he has not got the best chances of attacking returns compared to some of the other Brighton assets. So he's kind of lower upside, but you know, more minutes guaranteed maybe. But do you actually want kind of some players who are going to get subbed off at 65 minutes? Do you want a defender that gets subbed off for 65 minutes? Slightly higher chance of a clean sheet points, I suppose. So he's going to go in optional alongside De Bruyne, who I think is, you know, a little bit too expensive. I don't think he's 100% nailed on, but I do appreciate he is the kind of player we could potentially be going for. If you're really just looking for a differential premium, I guess De Bruyne is your man. So I'm going to put him in optional, but I'm not his biggest fan this season. I feel like there's just better premiums to go for. I prefer Salah, I prefer Erling Haaland, I even prefer Harry Kane right now, to be fair, and I definitely prefer Bruno Fernandes, who is not even going to be on this tier list because he doesn't even make the top. I don't even think he's in the top 40 most popular transfers so far. But I would prefer Fernandes to De Bruyne. There you go. I said it. Next up, Ollie Watkins. Still think he's definitely a player high on the list. I don't think he's quite as high as he has been previously, just because there's just maybe some double game week players we could start thinking about now. But I still think he is kind of got to go in the great transfer category. He's got Fulham next. I think he should have a really good score against Fulham. And then maybe after that, you would consider removing him. But yeah, I still think Watkins is kind of almost top tier, but he's not quite essential as he has been over the last few game weeks, just because of the lack of double game weeks and all of these kind of other opportunities that are going to start presenting themselves in the upcoming weeks. So next up, Purvis Estupiñán. I think he's a great transfer. Definitely a player I would be moving to right now. Amazing attacking ability, always taking shots on, always being creative, always playing kind of in the final third for Brighton. So very high upside player there. And Brighton's underlying defensive numbers are actually not too bad. So clean sheets, you know, there's potential there as well. Also going to put in the same category Salah. Not quite a must-buy for me, just because he only has one double game week for the remainder of the season, and he's also, you know, playing quite wide at the moment, and also he is quite expensive. So he's definitely a great transfer. He's definitely a great pick, but I don't think he quite fits into that elite category, because of a few other, kind of a few advantages certain other players have above him. So, for example, Kaoru Mitoma, I think, is arguably a must-buy player because he is one of the best, some people would even say the best, Brighton player to have right now. He is super cheap, super easy to get into your team, and plays 3 double game weeks compared to Salah's 1 double game week. If you're asking me who is going to score more points between now and the end of the season, genuinely I would say 5.6 million Kaoru Mitoma outscores 12.9 million Mo Salah, and that's just by virtue of the amount of games that the Brighton boys have to play for the rest of the season. So yeah, there we go. Must buy. Kaoru Mitoma has to go above Salah for me. Yes, I do think Salah is a great pick, and if you've already got your Brighton players sorted, at that point we start looking at the likes of Salah. But if you haven't got your Brighton players in yet, that is your priority, and that's why Solly March is going next in the must-buy category, performing fantastically, consistently, doing so well. I know people kind of doubted him for a while, but the last couple of game weeks when Brighton have had fixtures, he has been the man, really, for Brighton in midfield. So, yeah, definitely a player that I'd be very, very keen to own. Like, I am a person who owns March. He's a player who I would never let go, and genuinely, between now and the end of the season, he's probably, outside of Erling Haaland, he's probably going to be in, like, what, the top 2, 3, 4 high-scoring players between now and the end of the season, Solly March, probably. So, yeah, must buy as far as I'm concerned. Alexander Isak, I think he's a good transfer to go for. Like, I kind of like him. I know there's no doubles in 34 for him. I know there's no double really until 36 for him, but I don't think it's such a bad idea to get, like, kind of get ahead of the game a little bit here. I don't think he's kind of in that top kind of category for transfers yet, but still think it's a very good transfer. Definitely a player that you should be considering strongly, as is Trent Alexander-Arnold. One thing that puts me off with him is his price. Another thing that puts me off about him is the fact that Liverpool do struggle for clean sheets a little bit, but he's got amazing attacking ability, and in the double game week, Trent is going to be a really, really important player to own. Now, we're not quite at that double game week yet, but certainly against West Ham, you would consider that maybe there's going to be an opportunity for Trent to get some attacking returns in that game. But yeah, it's just his price that stops him from going in the step above, I think. I don't think he's going to be absolutely achievable for everyone, but he's definitely a player who I'd want to get. You know what? I'm being a little bit harsh. I think he is a great transfer. I'm going to put him in the great transfer category. He is a good one to go for. But I understand why some people might be put off, and I don't think he is quite as essential as a lot of people are kind of making him out to be. But he's still a very good transfer. He's still an incredible player. Don't get it twisted. Next up, Jack Grealish, who I'm going to put is really difficult. I definitely feel like he has to go above, like, De Bruyne. He's probably one of the best Man City players to go for. But is he better than Edison to go for? He's up there, isn't he? He is up there. I'm going to put him next to Edison. I'm going to put him above Edison. Hopefully he's going to be reasonably nailed on, but you never know when there's going to be rotation for Manchester City, which is the one thing that does put me off Grealish a little bit. But in general, he has been playing really, really well. He's a really decent price at 7.2 million as well. So yeah, 2 double game weeks in the remainder of the season. Hey, why not? Let's put Grealish pretty darn high. I'm going to be a little bit controversial here and actually put Diogo Jota like alongside Salah. I think that Jota could be, you know, score just as many points, if not more points than Salah. I think Jota genuinely does cover Salah. And I know that's controversial, but I think Jota is a great transfer. I really like the look of this. And if you are maybe a Kane owner right now and you're looking to get a new Liverpool player in, and you can either make a double transfer, take a -4 to get Kane to Salah, or you can go a straight switch to Jota, I would consider it. That's all I'm saying. I would consider going for Jota instead. Not quite happy to put Jota above Salah right now, but I think, you know, in the next couple of game weeks, we could be genuinely saying, we could be looking back and saying, wow, Jota was the guy. He was the guy to go for because he's in such good form. We've seen what he can do before. We've seen how, you know, when he gets in that nice streak for Liverpool, he is just like unplayable and essential to own in FPL. He can play in multiple positions in this Liverpool team as well. I can't really see him getting dropped anytime soon. I think he's a great transfer. I'm putting it out there. Finally, let's finish off with 2 more players. So, first of all, Marcus Rashford, who I would say is arguably a must-buy. I'm going to put him up here between March and Midsummer. I would like to see Rashford get back into goal-scoring form before making him absolutely #1 must-buy, but I still feel like if you haven't got Rashford right now, you sold him in previous game weeks, it is going to be the time to get him back. He plays against this Spurs team that looked so bad against Newcastle, and so bad in previous game weeks as well. You feel like Rashford could really, really punish Spurs. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in the must-buy category. Double game week after that. Another double game week in 37. Rashford is the guy to buy, isn't he? One more player, guys, and it's Erling Haaland. If you sold Erling Haaland at any stage over the last however many game weeks, you have to buy him back. I know you might think Arsenal is a difficult fixture, but believe me, as someone who watches every Arsenal game, you know, consumes a lot of Arsenal content, I can tell you that Arsenal are terrible in defence, and Erling Haaland will probably score twice against us. So, look, it's not something I like to admit, but Erling Haaland against Arsenal is pretty much as close to essential as things come. Erling Haaland as your captain in game week 34, when Man City have a double game week, again, it's pretty much as close to essential as they come. Game week 37, when Man City have another double game week, you know, perfect captain again. And Man City have good fixtures against the likes of, I think it was Leeds and Everton in between that as well. So again, you're going to need to captain him every single game week. Erling Haaland is a must-buy player. He's a must-have player. I know a lot of people were planning on leaving it one more game week before bringing him back in. For me, you just have to have him. You just have to have him. So there we go, guys. That is 30 players on the tier list. Let me know if there's anyone you feel is missing from this tier list, and we will put them in one of the categories in the comment section. So leave a comment of that player. Thanks so much for watching it today, guys. We've tried to keep the tier list video a little bit shorter today because I know I can waffle in them usually, but today we're a little bit shorter. But hopefully that's going to be okay for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. And like I say, leave a comment. Let's talk about some other players as well because we haven't got long to make these final FPL decisions. So we do really need to be finalising those decisions. So yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. Join me for Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid coming out later today. Aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later next. Bye-bye.